Hello you lovely lot, and welcome to the beautiful Barlow Country Club. Not been here for ages, have we folks? And we are doing, it's a basics day today, and this basics in particular is all about rock hard fishing. Yeah, trying to get a bite and make the most of your session when it's absolutely desperate conditions, which is what we've experienced lately. Yeah, so where are we now? We're 20th of January now. 2 weeks ago we had the massive big freeze. There was a lid on here up until yesterday. Obviously, we know how good Barlow is. This is not what it's about. We know how many fish are in this lake. It's absolutely rammed. I've done a live match on here. We've done a couple of challenges on here. It's full of fish. But what we want to get across is how hard it's fishing. Richard CEO fished a match weekend just gone, so 3, 4, I can't work out in my head, 3 or 4 days ago, and it was flipping hard work. This lake in particular where we're on, there was ice on it. How many was on the lake, Rich? 12 on the lake. There was 12 on the lake and 10. There was 10 drilling northwest. 10 did not waze. So there's only 2 people actually caught a fish. And you might think, what the flipping heck? Are you going back onto that lake then, Andrew, where you could go on another lake and, you know, catch loads of fish? That's not what today is about, folks. Today is about them days when, if you're in like a winter league, obviously there's lots of winter leagues on every now and again, you're going to be faced with conditions like this. Yes, obviously the start of Winter League might start in October, might finish in March. The first and the last ones, the first couple, last couple, they might be good. You might be getting quite a few bites. 100% you're going to have 1, maybe 2 of them Winter Leagues, or, you know, coming out for a pleasure session where it's going to be absolutely rock bottom and you need to be on it. So what we're going to go through is pinky fishing. My favourite bait in the world for getting bites when it's like this, folks, is Disco Pinky. I just think it gets you bites when nothing else does. Whether it's the colour or obviously the size of the bait makes a difference, I don't know. But for me, I've got complete confidence in it. So it's going to be about fishing pinkies, but around your feed area, around your feed area. So we're going to put like a minimal amount of bait in, probably not even going to loose feed, but it's all about sitting over that pile of bait for a certain amount of time and then experimenting, fishing off it. You know, if you saw in the live match that I did at Partridge, that's how I caught pretty much all my fish, yeah, away from my feed. So that's what I really want to, you know, focus on today. Floats and this, that and the other, we'll go through rigs in a sec. We'll go through bait, just keeping it dead simple. A little bit of ground bait and some pinkies, but rigs wise is the one where I see a lot of people struggle. So that's what we'll go over first then, folks. I've literally just got one top kit done today. Now, first thing I'm going to say is about the elastic. You know how much I'm massive for elastics, using light elastics in the winter. Single 5s will be absolutely perfect. We've got just over, yeah, sort of like 5.5, nearly 6 foot of water we've got. That elastic under normal circumstances, if the fish are having it, might be a little bit too light, you know, setting the hook, but where it's like proper, like today, freezing cold. In fact, going back to that, I think the temperature was taken on the match just gone on Sunday and it was 2.5 degrees. That was with a lid on, so it might got a little bit warm today, but it's still going to be flipping freezing. So 5's elastic to cushion, absolutely everything. Massive that, folks. Next one is mainline. So 0.14 AccuPower mainline. Very important that you're not going too thick. 0.14 will do everything. Now just look at the distance there from my pole tip to my float. We've got a good sort of 2 foot. In fact, I've added a bit of line to make it longer. Now the reason for that is, and the next thing you've got to consider, is the clarity of the water, yeah? If that water's clear, just think that we've not got any sun yet. It might pop out in a bit, but if that sun pierces through the water, obviously it just sort of like highlights everything. The fish can pretty much see everything. And if they see that pole over the top, I want to make sure my pole is well away. So that's the first thing, yeah? 2 foot line, pole tip to float, minimum, even in the depth that we've got. Next thing is back shots. Yeah, you know I love to Tipp-Ex my back shots out wide. So we've got 2 number 8 back shots there, just to be in complete control of that float. Now here's the important one here. Choosing a really, really light float, much lighter than what you think you'd be able to get away with in the depth of water. Now we've gone for a 410s F1 fine. Normally, you know, see a lot of our videos don't use 410s in over, what, 3 foot, 4 foot the most, but when it's proper desperate and you're looking for a bite, the lighter you can get away with, because it's all about the resistance of the fish. If the fish can feel any resistance, they'll reject your bait. The lighter the float, the much better. The other things, another couple of things yet with the float, is the bristle. 1.2 mil or less bristle. Again, it all comes down to resistance. And just on the tip of that, if Rich can zoom in on that, go on the CEO, I've got a tiny little bit of Vaseline, probably covering like 1 mil of the bristle, that's all, hardly anything. Now the other important thing, and it's very important for the style of fishing that we're going to do today. Remember, we're trying to get bites. We want to fish around our peg, get bites. Look what's happening through the water. That's why we come on to a carbon stem float. You can't use a wire stem float for the style of fishing we're doing today. Wire stem floats are for putting your little bit of bait in, sitting over it and like reading everything on your float. What we want today is to, almost be lifting our rig out pretty constant as we'll go through later on. And you'll only achieve that presentation with a carbon stem float. So it's very important now. Next thing, coming all the way down, so I say we've got like 5.5 foot, it's pretty deep, is the shotting. Now, shots as opposed to stots. I love to use shots obviously because they don't move on your line, but I feel in these conditions I need to use stots because I might want to change them around. To start with, I've got them in a tapered fashion, but these are number 12s, yeah, really light. Now I can move them around. That's the beauty of using stots. So you can see where they're ending. There's 18 inches on my marker, so they're ending just above 18 inches. We've got a little bulk of 12s there, and then they're just gradually getting spaced out, more and more space. Yeah, so you can see these last two here, there's sort of 4 or 5 inches between them. Now this is very important, I believe, folks, as well, and that's using a longer hook length. Obviously, when there's a few fish in your swim, 4-inch hook lengths, but for this time of year or these conditions, 6-inch hook lengths I think are absolutely massive, or even 8-inch, but fishing super fine. I'm fishing a 0.8 diameter to a size. Now this hook might sound big now, to a size 16's black gamma hook. A 16's black gamma is not a big hook. It's all to do with the patterns of the hooks. There's loads of different ones on the market, but what I'd recommend is sort of like 20s or an 18s, but if you're used to your hook pattern, then that'll allow you to go to a slightly bigger one, but it's not a big hook. The main thing is that it's really light wire. If you were to use, like if I was to use my normal like SFLB, my normal Preston hook, it'd be too heavy. Yeah, with a single pinky on, thump, that's just going down far too quick. When the fish are having it a bit, warms up a bit, acceptable. For this time of year, when it's proper desperate, you want to make sure that rig's coming in nice and slow, so the fish are picking up on that bait, almost watching it, and then following it down, and then usually get them little dinks as soon as that bait touches the bottom. So that's the rig, like really fine and delicate, but my word, does that make a difference. So with that said, I'm going to swivel round, we're going to get some bait in, and then hopefully we're going to catch you a couple of fish, because that's all we need on days like this. Just a couple of fish to warm you up. So first things first, you've got to consider the feeding. Just before I go and put my initial mix in, which is not going to be much, I just want to quickly talk you through what we've got. We've got my favourite Super Sweet. Now I think that's important, folks. Whatever you've got confidence in, it's going to be up here, it's going to make your fish much better, yeah? So Super Sweet for me, you know how much I love it. That's what I've got. I've literally just got a bit mixed in here, which I've done as soon as I got back to the bank this morning. I put that through a 3mm riddle, so it's nice and fine, slightly over wet, and there's hardly any bait going into that. I'm going to keep that there and show you what I'm feeding actually. We've got obviously Disco Pinkies, half a pint, flipping heck, half a pint of Disco Pinkies this time of year, folks. It'll do you like 15 sessions. Yeah, you don't need to feed much at all, but it's just that colour. Look how much it'll stand out in that clear water. It's amazing stuff. And then we have got some maggots as well, just a bit of a change of hook bait. Obviously white maggots work really well in the clear water. Red maggots, obviously, staple favourite. So feeding wise then, literally all we're going to do to put in, and then I'm going to feed this loose like that, is literally, that's it. There's reshards on that, and then onto that we're just going to put no more than sort of 8 or 10 pinkies, that's all. What's that? 9, 10, one more, that's it. That is my feed. Now that will do me, might do me up to an hour, might do me up to 2 hours, I don't know. But for starting off wise, we don't want to feed any more than that. Don't want to boil it because it's flat calm. If you had a bit of a chop on it, I'd maybe give it a little squeeze, but with how it is, just that loose bait falling through the water is enough to grab fish's attention. So I'm going to swivel round because we're doing this in a wanna. That is going in there. It's in my wrong hand, so do apologise, but that goes in there, just loose. So you can see that's how much bait we've got. So that's I always get these blooming pot sizes. Is it 125? What is it, Rich? 125 one? I don't know. I think it's 125 mil, 125 mil. So it's like just less than a half in that. That's it. Done, dusted. Now, just before I put the bait in, I want to talk you through where I'm fishing to start with and where I'm putting the bait in. Because what I'll always have, even though today is about showing you how to get bites fishing around your feed, I'll always have a marker where I come back to, yeah, and that's where I'm putting my initial feed, or not my initial feed, that's where I'll put every feed, to be fair, yeah. So we're fishing at 14.5. Now that is very important as well, which I forgot to mention in the intro. Fish further away than what you'd normally fish. The fish will be backing off, so just get out further. I'm going to say minimum of 13 metres. Obviously, if you're on a smaller pond, you know, halfway between you and the other angler if you're in a match, but if you're pleasure fishing, just get further away from me, yeah. So I've gone to 14.5 metres today. Now I've got my little babby half extension on the back here, so my marker is on my hand, yeah, just sort of like halfway between these two legs here. That's where I've got my joint and my pole. Now I've got a reed bed, like a little clump over there, and that's where I'm going to put my initial feed. So I know exactly where my main feed is going. I'm just going to put that just above the water, just so you can see that sprinkling in. Now hopefully Reshad can get that on, and you can see how blooming clear that is, yeah. I reckon that's a foot, probably 18 inches, and I can still see that bait. Now that's that fed, and that is all I'm going to do. I'm not going to feed any more than that. The other thing that could potentially work is obviously pinging a few pinkies out, yeah, catapulting a few pinkies, but starting off wise, don't, yeah, just going with your hook bait and that's it. It might be 2-3 hours into a session before I start picking that catapult up. Let other anglers tell you what's going on as well. You know, if everyone's in the same boat, don't do anything daft. Yeah, the main thing is picking the fish's attention up by using a super light rig, which is what we've got, and obviously the colour of the bait, Disco Pinky. So let us get a Disco Pinky on, hook it through the fat end. I'm going to feel it through the fat end rather than through the tip, but I want it wriggling. So normally I'd use a Disco Pinky, they'd be like dead Disco Pinkies, or I'd normally stun them, but I want them wriggling because I want them vibrations. I'm convinced they make a difference as well. So we're going to go through the little frilly bit at the bottom there, so you don't burst it, and look at that, absolutely perfect. Little pinker wise coming to, there we go, yeah, see that, wriggling, wriggling, wriggling. And then we're getting going. So the next thing, so let me ship out a little bit further before I talk you through the next thing I've got, just so we don't get fast on the bottom, is that. So important to have a watch or stopwatch, whatever, because I want to make sure I'm fishing for a certain time, certainly over my feed. I don't want to spend too long over my feed if I feel as though they're not there. If they come to your feed, you're going to get bites straight away, folks, yeah? 10 minutes as long as I'd leave it, 5 to 10 minutes. So I want to look at that. So I'm looking at that. That's just got to be up to 5 past when I get in there. So I know at 10 past, I'll lift that rig out and put it somewhere else. Yeah, that's what I want to be doing. So we'll get in on that. Right over my feed. I always fish over my feed to start with, just in case, you know, it might be that day where the fish are feeding. Lay that rig out. You see, I've laid it in a nice, tight, straight line. Just let that, get that surface tension off the float, which sometimes it'll stick, and I'm going to hold a tight line. So now you can really see how slow that float is falling through the water. You see my back shots just to the left of it? Yeah, you see it'll sink a lot lower than that float. You'll start seeing them number 12s coming into play, and obviously it's just going to get held up by the grease on the tip of that float. So you see how slow that's coming into play there? Perfect. And that's it, that's set now. So obviously what we're waiting for, you know, don't usually get like proper sail away bites. I mean, obviously you can, but usually with that lifting and dropping, or lifting your whole rig out and laying the rig in, the fish normally have it as it settles. They normally come, watch that bait, it catches their attention, they swim down for it, and then as soon as that rig sort of settles, you get that little tiny dink or shake on your float. It's not even a proper bite sometimes, it's just usually a little shake. So remember, the first 5 minutes I'll just leave it stationary. Well, I'll lift and drop, but I won't lift the rig out. So what I'll do, I'll lift and drop it, and just sink them back shots as my float comes down. And then after that time, that's when I'll lift the whole rig out and start fishing around my bait. Now there's days, folks, when you'll be catching 2-3 foot, even more, away from where you've fed. Left and right, a little bit further past. Not necessarily much this side of it, you know, towards you, towards the bank if you like. Usually flicking it out past or left and right is usually much, much better. But to start with, we're just going to leave it there and see what happens, but regular movements. Okay, so I've been lifting and dropping, and we are at now, it's, yeah, around about 1/4 so you can see there, 11:14. So the next thing I'm going to do is over where I'm fishing, I'm going to start lifting it and dropping it every sort of 90 seconds, maybe a minute to 90 seconds, and see what response that has. So by lifting and dropping, what you're doing is obviously that bait's falling through and it's going to catch the fish's attention. Yeah, with a standout bait like that Disco Pinky and the clarity of the water, it's only just got to go, you know, catch your attention just past the fish's eye, and that's it. Fish will swim down and nail it. So I'm only going to give that like a minute. Let's say usually with this style of fishing, it's instant. I'm going to try it over my bait for 2 or 3 times first, and then I'll try flicking it past, but still on the same marker, because remember we've got quite a long bit of line on. Flicking it past, and then I'm going to go sort of like left and right, see which is best. But, you know, obviously lifting and dropping, that can work better sometimes, or laying the rigging completely can work better sometimes. But one thing is for certain, you know, the fish will back off the feed, so we'll lay that in again over my feed, or sort of on my feed if you like. There you go. It's sometimes better, you know, when it's flat. Obviously flat cam is brilliant for seeing absolutely everything on the float, but sometimes when you want to bring that rig in really slow, what you'll get is like a little bit of surface tension on your float. It's the silicone on the float. If it's a little bit too thick, it'll hold up, so just give it a little flick and then that'll send it on its way. That's why sometimes it can be better with a little tiny bit of a chop on, a little bit of wind, and that'll break that surface tension then. After a few, you know, minutes though, and there's a bit of water gone on the float, it doesn't tend to be a problem. It's all about experimenting. I mean, sometimes these sessions, flipping it, folks, I've been in matches where it's been proper rock hard. You don't get a bite until the last sort of 20 minutes, half an hour of like a 5-hour match. You know, it can be really, really hard. So you've just got to be on it all the time and just keep experimenting. That's why fishing as light as what we are just gives you the best chance of getting a bite. Oh, there's a big, there's a blooming carp just there, 2 or 3 metres to the left. Can you see him, Rich? Oh, you could just dob for carp, folks. But obviously, joking apart, it's, you know, silvers matches. We ain't going to go for carp. That's bloody nuts, that. As I say, no more than a minute. Lift and drop, lay that rig out. So I've had 3 goes of laying it to the side. So my next one will be flicking it out past. Oh, that was it. There we go. Cool one, the poppadoms, and look at that. You can see that flashing straight away. Look at him. Look at him there, right to the top. It just shows you how blooming cold it is, folks, doesn't it? Yeah, not even fighting. Just coming straight to the top. Now this fish would have probably won with a match in a oneer on Saturday. Yeah, that's how hard it was, folks. But it just shows you if you get everything right, work. As I say, we're only starting off. I'll show you the blooming stopwatch in a minute, the time. You know what time we started because I showed you. That right there, folks, would have been enough to win lots of tokens on the weekend just gone. It probably, well, in fact, no, that would have won the match. You having that, Rich? That would have won the match in a oneer, wouldn't it, that? There or thereabouts. Maybe another one. But that would have definitely won a section. So, there we go. Disco Pinky in there. Skimmery Bob there. Absolutely freezing cold, like an ice cube. But it's one fish like that can make all the difference in matches. You know, one fish. Well, as I said that, I'd have got bloody money on weekend with that. And that's what it's all about. Obviously, I'm talking about matches. But pleasure fishing as well, you know, obviously over the winter when it's colder and staying indoors, just get out, folks. It shows you that you can, you know, get bites. Let me show you this stopwatch. I'm going to go in, see if I can catch another. Let me show you that stopwatch. So when it went in, I was shipping out at like 11:04 and it's now 11:19. Yeah, so it showed you that we've waited quite a long time. No, not too long. Actually, I was expecting it to be a lot longer than that. Right, so first things first, obviously this is where presentation is massive. All the time, but especially in the winter time. No slime whatsoever. Take that bait off, don't go in with the same bait, and then we're going to go in with another pinky. I'm not feeding anything, still not going to feed anything. Just hook that dead lightly. If there's any resistance whatsoever, when you put that bait on, change hook lengths. Right, so this time, so that was on my third drop, normal. This time what I'm going to do, I'm going to come back to my same marker on here, yeah? So my little babby, my hand on my little babby extension, but this time I'm going to flick it out. Flick that rig out so it's in a nice tight line. Now obviously it's eventually going to settle back to them back shots, which are right under my float, but we're still going to have sort of 6-7 inches where my float is going to be past my back shots. Okay, so again, I'm still on my marker, so my bait is probably 8 inches back from where that float is now, from where I put my initial feed. Now obviously all fish love to back off, but especially skimmers, flipping neck, they absolutely adore it. You know, they'll come into your feed, but they love sort of like backing off it as well. Quite often the bigger fish will back off it. So I'll try this a couple of times. Certainly if you think there's like, if there's more eyed, roach, rudd, chub, them kind of fish in your water, folks, then probably do this more often and start to think about the potential loose feed element as well. There we go, that was a little dink then. Is that a, oh, that's a blooming carp, isn't it? Is it? Yeah, oh dear. I don't think we're getting this out on 08, folks. Is it? Yeah. We see it just under the surface. You see it just under the surface. So, carp are backing off the feed, folks. I'm just going to play him out there. He doesn't really know what he's doing, to be fair. I don't think he realises he's hooked yet. Let's see if we can be sneaky. I don't think we're going to get him in, folks, because I can't give him any pressure at all. But obviously the beauty of this time of year is they don't really fight hard. So it just shows a blooming neck. If carp were allowed, well, you just get a dobbing rig out. No, but joking apart, if carp were allowed, then obviously rigs like this, it shows you. I'm just going to play him there. I don't want to bring him back to my top kit. Can't give him that much force. It doesn't feel as though there's any pressure on him whatsoever there. Hopefully it's an F1. Well, they look like on Big D for Richard. Look quite large. Might not be though. Get ready to put sections on. Oh yeah, get ready to put sections on. Because we're on the finest fine wire hook in the world. And an 08 up length.
Maybe
but,
a massive perch.
No, it's not perchy. What were you all playing at a weekend, you lot? Honestly, Rich, what were you doing, man? Oh, you were on a different lake, I'll let you off. You're on the better lake. What are we on now? 23. So what if we had 2 bites in 20, 19, I can't wait, 19 minutes. 20 minutes. Oh, the duck wax. He's waiting for some magpies, this duck whack. Let's get him out of the way. Go on, Mr. Duck Whack. I bet you're all thinking, come on, Andrew, blooming heck, but we're on 08 and the finest fine wire hook you can think of. Well, no, they do them finer, but I don't want to give him too much, folks. It'd be nice to show him a little tiny bit more pull. 2 hours later. Oh dear. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Yay! Go on, the little populace. How about that then, for that was a bit of a blooming bonus, a bit of a Brucey bonus that for today. He is absolutely stunning. There is the Disco Pinky. 7 out of 10. Let me hook that up and show you. Flipping freezing. But look at the state of him. Beautiful. Popular carp. Probably 2 and a bit pound, 2 pound 6, 2 and 8. Just shows you what you can get in done. That's on 08 and a fine wire 16s hook, that, folks. It's flipping freezing, that fish. Absolutely beautiful. Right, let's get him back. I don't think there's much more to go through really. Obviously it's all about searching your peg. You've seen that, obviously. Didn't have a bite over our feed. As soon as we started lifting that bait out, yeah, I was on my third one, we caught that skimmer, watched it down, and then what, 10, 12 seconds later, you got that bite. That carp, first chuck past the feed, which normally if you are, you know, fishing for carp, that's usually the way you catch them, but usually it's where you catch, obviously, the other fish as well. What I was getting to, I think, before we got interrupted by that carp was, when does loose feed come into it? I wouldn't start loose feeding if nothing was happening on the lake. After 2 hours, that's when I'd probably start loose feeding. If it's more your eyed, your roach, your rudd, your chub, obviously they love the loose feed. They love eating, you know, all times of year. So maybe you want to introduce a little bit more loose feed. If it's skimmers, you've seen that. I'd quite happily still fish that. Yeah, I'm not going to put any more bait in now. I'll quite happily just fish over that until you just get this feeling when you need to feed again. Yeah, if it's good, then all of a sudden you go half an hour, 20 minutes without a bite, that's when you put some more bait in. But Barlow Country Club, folks, what a venue that has been. That's proper. I love that. Yeah, it's perfect for what we wanted to showcase. We didn't get a bite straight away. It's rock hard. We've had to work at it, lift the rig out, let it drop through, lifting and dropping, try that as well. But don't sit indoors and don't be despondent when you got your winter league and there's ice on it. It's freezing cold. It's flipping freezing today, folks. Get out there, give it a go. As always, folks, if you've liked these videos, please don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the notification button, and that'll tell you when we're putting these fantastic videos out for you. Yeah!